The first thing I looked for on social media yesterday was my Lakers and some of the interviews and Russ, and I wanted to see his press conference because the last thing that I really saw in depth with Russ in terms of an interview type of format was the exit interview from last season. And I remember how much buzz that received. So I wanted to watch this one. It's interesting. I thought that he handled himself well in the interview. Listen, man, these men and these women who are playing these professional sports, you're getting a lot of the same questions over and over again, day in and day out. In the off season, or maybe not necessarily off season, but preseason, during the season, immediately after the season because of the exit interviews, you're getting a lot of the same questions. And it's not like, it's part of your contract to address the media, but these are not necessary. This is not like you going to the Drink Champs or $1 million worth of game or the Breakfast Club. It's not like you going to sit down with people that you are kind of choosing to sit down with and share your perspective and share your experiences and your story. This is, you kind of have no choice but to address the media, especially on media day, right? So I don't know how many of you had a chance to watch Russell Westbrook's interview in its entirety, because I'm sure a lot of people go on social media and you'll see a snippet, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, and you think that you'll convince yourself that you've watched the entire context of everything that Russ had to say. And it's just interesting to me that we're where we left things. If you think about last season, it felt like every single post-game press conference that Russ did, it seemed like every game, every play, everything that he did, and I understand he was in L.A. and is in L.A., but everything down to a T was under a microscope. Him more than anybody else who was a part of that organization, in my humble opinion. If he played Tuesday, best believe Wednesday morning, whether it's a radio show, a podcast, a television show, someone's social media platform like myself, you were going to hear critiques. And a lot of times I felt like those critiques just went far, far left. And here we are again. He does an interview, and sure enough, that next morning, you turn on some of these shows, First Take, Undisputed, a plethora of different shows. And there's a lot of talk about just some of the things that he even had to say in his press conference. I thought he kept it positive. I thought he tried to just kind of keep it just about this season and what he's looking forward to with this new regime in terms of a new coaching staff, new teammates. The roster has changed a little bit. And I thought he just sounded like a person who is rejuvenated, got a chance to spend time with his businesses, got a chance to spend time with his family, got a chance to kind of take, still be in the gym, get in the lab, but take a step away from the bright lights, to get ready for this new season. And he seems like he's ready to have a great season. Listen, it can only get better from last year. And I'm a big Russ fan. But that being his 14th season in the league last year, I believe it was his 14th season, that was the worst basketball I've seen him play in a season. But I have no reason to believe that that's going to happen again, because if you think about it, he turned things around. It was late, but he did turn things around those last 2.5 months, the last couple of months of the season. Maybe it's 2 months a stretch? I don't know. Maybe last couple of months. But there's no reason for me to believe that he's going to struggle the way that he did last season. I think there's more clarity. I think that his identity within this organization now is just more clear for him. But of course, people took certain things that he said and ran with it. You know, the question about whether this organization, the Lakers, you know, the people in the organization want you there. I felt like, of course, that they took his answer and ran with that one. And that's the thing, when you're addressing the media day in and day out, you of course you're gonna say, and you're talking for 5 and 10 and 15 minutes, you're gonna get some things wrong. You're gonna say some things that you might want to take back. Who cares? I mean, it happens. It happens. But at the end of the day, one thing about Russ that's really been consistent is he gives you everything he's got on the court. And I believe him when he says he's an easygoing guy outside of just, competing. I mean, of course, like he says, when he's on that basketball court, he was taught growing up that his only friends was that basketball and the guys playing with him. But everybody else is fair game. And I think that he's been consistent in the years that I've seen him. Like I said to you guys in the beginning, I can already see where this is going. It looks like it's going to be much of the same. And I'm not talking about from the Lakers and from Russ in particular, but it looks like it's going to be much of the same from the average fan of the game and from, most people in media, mainstream media, and those underground. It looks like it's going to be the same. Every little detail, every little thing is going to be followed and critiqued. So I can only imagine if I was in Russell Westbrook's shoes, and I understand that the media is a big part of, why there's people out there that really praise him, because they did show him a lot of love throughout his career at times too. But his game, it was really his game. If you took the time to watch his game, it was really his game that spoke for itself. Just some of the great feats that he's accomplished. But it just seems like it's gonna be more of the same this season in terms of every little thing with my Lakers and specifically Russell Westbrook being criticized and critiqued and all of that. So I'll be responding to it. I'll get a little petty too when I have to. I'll respond to it, not just because I'm a Lakers fan and a Russell Westbrook fan, but just as a fan of basketball and a member of the media. I do think there are times where people cross the line and where we get become too petty with our coverage and critiquing every little thing. So that's my takeaway already, just from Media Day. I already see that, and I just actually watched, before I did this segment, I just watched an interview that Russ did today for their first practice, and I'm sure there will be a couple of things that will be taken out of context there when I turn on the news tomorrow to kind of see what's going on in sports media. And one other thing that I do want to say that I like when athletes do this. So in his press conference for Media Day, there was a guy that was a reporter asking him a question, and he was talking in circles. I didn't understand what he was trying to say at first. He was just doing too much talking. I'm like, get to the point with the question. And that's kind of, in a nice way, Russ kind of even, said that in so many words, where he said, well, what's the question? This guy spent about 2 minutes trying to ask this question, and Russ said, okay, what's the question, though? And I think that more athletes should do that. I don't think that that's him being defensive. I think that more athletes should do that, because just like these reporters want to hold you accountable for what you do when you show up to work, these reporters are at work too. When they're in that media room and they're face to face with you and have an opportunity to ask you certain questions about your game, you got to hold them accountable too. And if you feel like they're not doing a good job with their reporting or with their journalism or the questions that they're asking, I have no problem with an athlete kind of calling you out in a certain kind of way. And that's what Russ did. And he's done that over his career. And I don't have no problem with that. A lot of people take it as him being sensitive and defensive. I'm not saying he's never sensitive and defensive, but I don't take it as that. There are a lot of times where I don't see it that way, where I see it that he just you're asking him questions about his profession, and he's trying to get you to be better with your profession. Stop taking 30, 45 seconds in a minute to ask a question, and just get straight to the point with it, and let it have some substance to it. and think about things in context before you just throwing questions out there to these athletes. So that's my take, and I'm gonna see you guys for the next topic.